Hello and welcome to the first video of this channel. Today we're going to be going over 5 things that I believe every Trinitarian should know. So I'm fairly new to making content like this, so I apologize if I don't sound too professional or if I stutter a bit, but I hope we can just set all that aside and we can just look at these 5 things, and I hope you can ponder upon these things and consider using them in your arguments, or just if you want to learn stuff that you just didn't know before. So anyways, let's just get into it. So for the first thing is Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 4 is a compound oneness. So often if you're in a debate with like a Unitarian or someone like that, most of the time they're probably going to run back to this verse right here, which says, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one." And they try to use this to show that God is like literally one and the Trinity doesn't exist. But what they don't understand is that the Hebrew word for one in this passage is, yes, I apologize, echad, or I think that's how you pronounce it, echad, which can refer to a compound unity. That's crazy, honestly. When I figured out about this fact, that I was like shocked. You know, beforehand, whenever someone would use this argument, I would just say that the Trinity is God's oneness, but that it shows how that oneness functions, which is as 3 persons. But now that I learned this, it's crazy. I don't have to do that, and I can just use these undisputable facts. So knowing this is really important because it will provide a strong foundation for your defense for the Trinity. Our second thing is that 1 John chapter 5 verse 7 is a forgery. The verse, known as the Comma Johannem, I believe that's how you pronounce it, is not found in any of the earliest Greek manuscripts up to the 9th century. It first appears in Latin manuscripts in the 4th century, likely as a marginal note or commentary to clarify the Trinitarian doctrine, which was a major theological issue at the time. I'm guessing that over time, as the verse was being copied into these other papers, somehow the Trinity text it got included in the text somehow. So yeah, that's really crazy right there. But I see a lot of Trinitarians attempt to use this in their arguments, which is not a good idea, because once most Unitarians know this, and they'll very quickly correct you, and it will remove a lot of your credibility. But either way, in the earliest text, this is just how the verse reads. "And for there are 3 that testify, the Spirit, the water, and the blood, and the 3 are in agreement." It can go into 2 verses depending on which translation you use. The text that I'm talking about right now, it reads, I didn't put it on here, but it reads, "For there are 3 that for there are 3 that bear record in heaven, the Father, the Word, and the Holy Spirit," or the Spirit. I don't know, I forgot how it read, but and these 3 are one. So it just literally just said basically the doctrine of the Trinity right there, but it was just accidentally included in the actual text for some reason. Anyways, moving on. John chapter 5 verse 30 actually affirms the Trinity a lot more than what people think, because most Muslim apologists or other Unitarian apologists like to point to this verse to show that Jesus isn't God because he can do nothing on his own. They only read this part right here, "I can do nothing on my own." But if we actually read the verse in context, then it actually really reflects the Trinity a lot, and how the Son and his role functions. And it reads, "I can do nothing on my own. As I hear, I judge, and my judgment is just, because I seek not my own will, but the will of him who sent me." So if only they would read this verse in context, clearly they can see that something's up here. You can also just read the entire chapter of John, the 5th chapter of John, up to 30, and you'll notice that this really doesn't prove that Jesus isn't God, like, at all, or that the Trinity is false. But either way, I'll just go over is that Jesus is addressing the misconception that he is acting independently of the Father, which could imply being a separate deity. So the Jews, they're accusing Jesus of claiming to be a God separate from the Father, but that's not what he's saying. Jesus just said this to clarify that he only does what the Father wills, or his Father's will. He cannot because Jesus's will is perfectly aligned with the Father's will. So, which is a really crucial aspect of the Trinity right there. Moving on, just because philosophy is used in something does not automatically make it pagan, because philosophy has been used for basically everything. Even Jesus used some philosophy in his teachings, but everyone knew what the nature of God was. It was the Trinity, basically, prior to the Council of Nicaea. They just didn't really know how to explain it that well. So philosophy was used to create concepts such as substance, essence, and person, which were helpful to explain the nature of the Trinity. And yes, that doesn't make it pagan, at all. So I'm tired of seeing, Unitarians and Muslims attempt to say it's pagan, but it's clearly not, because philosophy doesn't equal paganism. Philosophy has been used in pretty much everything. But either way, I just thought you should know this. But let's move on. Okay, for our last reason, God is a mystery, according to Isaiah chapter 55, verse 8 to 9. And we'll read it. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. So clearly this verse is telling us that God is above us. He's beyond our knowledge. So when Unitarians, like these Muslims, biblical Unitarians, JWs, they like to mock us for saying that the Trinity is mainly a mystery. But God being a mystery is biblical. So I just don't get that argument at all. And I hope that if any Unitarians or anyone else watching this video, I hope you can see this and know that your arguments are flawed. But either way, we shouldn't try to limit God to anything simple, which is why the Trinity is so important, because it's very complex in its way to describe the nature of God. And that's basically all I've included. I hope anyone watching this learned something, and I really want to make more stuff like this in the future. So please leave a like so I know this stuff it's worth it anyways. I just want to get this out to people to explain this. I want our fellow Trinitarians to see and gain this knowledge. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I plan on doing more content like this, so thanks for watching. Alright, bye-bye.